Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that's both fascinating and frankly terrifying. How generative AI could be making the climate crisis worse. I know, we hear about AI solving all the world's problems, but what if it's actually adding fuel to the fire? Think about it. What's the biggest obstacle to real climate action? Is it a lack of technology? Or is it public apathy and political gridlock driven by misinformation? We're going to explore how Gen AI is weaponizing that doubt. Let's start with the most obvious threat, misinformation. Generative AI can now churn out incredibly realistic-sounding articles, images, and videos that promote climate denial or downplay the severity of the crisis. We're not talking about some grainy, obviously fake meme. We're talking about sophisticated, persuasive content designed to sway public opinion. Imagine AI creating a news report that proves climate change is a hoax, complete with fake expert interviews and manipulated data. Scary, right? And it can spread like wildfire on social media, but it gets even more insidious. Gen AI can be used to create personalized messages tailored to individual beliefs and biases. Think about targeted ads, but instead of selling you a product, they're selling you climate denial. Oh, you're a conservative who distrusts government regulation? Here's an article about how climate policies are just a socialist power grab. It's incredibly effective. And then there are the reputation attacks. Gen AI can create deepfakes to discredit climate scientists, activists, and policymakers. Imagine a fake video of a respected scientist admitting that climate models are flawed. The damage is done before the truth even gets a chance to surface. It's character assassination on an industrial scale. And let's not forget the harassment and intimidation. Gen AI can be used to generate abusive or threatening messages targeting climate activists and researchers, potentially silencing their voices and discouraging others from speaking out. This is not just about hurt feelings. It's about chilling free speech and hindering critical research. Are we comfortable with a world where AI is used to bully scientists into silence? I sure as hell am not. Okay, so what about the tech companies? Surely they're doing something about this, right? Well, they're under immense pressure. Social media platforms are struggling to keep up with the sheer volume and sophistication of AI-generated misinformation. It's like trying to catch water with a sieve. This could lead to a decline in user trust and increased calls for regulation. Think about it. If you can't trust what you see online, what can you trust? And that's a problem for everyone, not just climate activists. What we're seeing now is an AI arms race. The development of AI-based tools for detecting and combating misinformation is accelerating, but so is the technology for creating that misinformation. It's a constant back and forth, a digital cat and mouse game with potentially devastating consequences. And there's no guarantee that the good guys will win. We need to be incredibly vigilant and invest in the right tools and strategies to fight back. And even AI detection tools aren't perfect. They can be biased against certain viewpoints or groups, leading to censorship and accusations of unfairness. Imagine an AI that flags anything that questions the dominant climate narrative, even if it's a legitimate scientific inquiry. That's not progress. That's just replacing one form of misinformation with another. And let's not forget the increased cybersecurity risks. Gen AI could be used to create more sophisticated phishing attacks, malware, and other cyber threats, posing a significant risk to individuals, organizations, and critical infrastructure. We're talking about potential attacks on power grids, water supplies, and other essential services. The socio-economic impact of all this is staggering. We're seeing increased social division and political polarization as people become more entrenched in their beliefs about climate change. The more misinformation that's out there, the harder it is to find common ground and build consensus. This leads to reduced public trust in institutions, including government, science, and the media. If people don't trust the experts, how can they make informed decisions about anything? It's a recipe for chaos. And all of this has real economic consequences. Delaying climate action will lead to more severe economic impacts, including increased cost from extreme weather events, reduced agricultural productivity, and displacement of populations. We're talking about trillions of dollars in damages and untold human suffering. And the impacts of climate change disproportionately affect vulnerable communities. The spread of misinformation could further exacerbate these inequalities, leaving the most vulnerable even more exposed. This is a matter of environmental justice, and we can't afford to ignore it. Finally, let's talk about the potential for democratic backsliding. The use of Gen AI to manipulate public opinion could undermine democratic processes and institutions. If elections can be swayed by AI-generated propaganda, what does that say about the future of democracy? This is not just a theoretical concern. It's a real and present danger. We need to be incredibly vigilant and protect our democratic institutions from this threat. Zooming into the technical risks, the deepfake threat is massive. AI can create realistic fake images, videos, and audio that spread misinformation about climate change, environmental issues, and related policies. Think fake footage of scientists admitting climate change is overblown, or fabricated reports showing renewable energy projects failing spectacularly. This undermines public trust in legitimate sources, and it's incredibly difficult to combat. And then there are the automated disinformation campaigns. Gen AI bots can generate and disseminate large volumes of misinformation across online platforms, overwhelming legitimate discussions and manipulating public opinion. This is particularly dangerous when targeting specific communities with tailored narratives. Imagine AI cloning the voice of Elon Musk to endorse a particular environmental policy, or a scammer using Greta Thunberg's voice to solicit donations for a fake climate charity. The possibilities for deception are endless. And let's not forget about model bias. Gen AI models are trained on data, and if that data is biased, the output could be inaccurate or promote certain viewpoints over others. This could lead to flawed climate change decisions based on biased information. It's garbage in, garbage out, but the garbage looks incredibly convincing. The rapid pace of Gen AI development makes it incredibly difficult to predict and mitigate potential risks. New capabilities and vulnerabilities are emerging constantly, requiring constant monitoring and adaptation. It's like trying to stop a runaway train. And the open-source nature of many Gen AI models creates further risks. Open-source repositories can be used to generate abusive content or target individuals with harassment. It's a double-edged sword. Open access fosters innovation, but it also makes it easier for bad actors to exploit the technology. The business risks are equally significant. Companies involved in climate-related industries, like renewable energy, could suffer reputational damage from Gen AI-driven misinformation campaigns. Imagine fake reports showing wind turbines causing environmental damage or solar panels being incredibly inefficient. This can scare off investors and derail important projects. Misinformation and manipulation could also create uncertainty in climate change policies, making it difficult for businesses to make long-term investments in sustainable technologies. Companies need a stable regulatory environment to make these kinds of commitments, and AI-driven chaos can undermine that stability. Gen AI could be used to manipulate markets related to climate change, such as carbon trading or renewable energy credits. This could create artificial price fluctuations and undermine the integrity of these markets. And companies that fail to adopt or adapt to Gen AI technologies may be at a competitive disadvantage compared to those that use it effectively, even if that use is unethical. It's a race to the bottom, and we need to ensure that ethical considerations are prioritized. The use of Gen AI in climate change decision-making could attract increased regulatory scrutiny, leading to compliance costs and potential legal liabilities. Companies need to be transparent about how they're using AI and ensure that they're not violating any regulations. And let's not forget the risk of greenwashing. Companies could use Gen AI to create misleading marketing campaigns that exaggerate their environmental credentials. This is not only unethical, but it can also backfire spectacularly if they're caught. Now, let's talk about the ethical minefield. Gen AI can be used to manipulate public opinion on climate change, potentially undermining democratic processes and hindering efforts to address the issue. This is a fundamental threat to our ability to make informed decisions about the future. The use of deepfakes and other forms of AI-generated deception can erode trust in institutions, experts, and media outlets. If people don't know what to believe, they're more likely to disengage entirely. Gen AI can be used to create abusive content and target individuals with harassment, particularly environmental activists and researchers. This is a serious threat to free speech and academic freedom, and it can be incredibly difficult to trace the origin of AI-generated content and hold individuals or organizations accountable for its use. This lack of accountability creates a moral hazard and encourages bad behavior. Gen AI could be used to collect and analyze personal data to target individuals with personalized misinformation campaigns. This is a serious privacy violation and can be incredibly effective in swaying public opinion. And the benefits of Gen AI may not be distributed equitably, potentially exacerbating existing inequalities in access to information and resources. This could create a two-tiered system where the wealthy and powerful have access to the best information, while the rest of us are left to fend for ourselves in a sea of misinformation. The spread of AI-generated misinformation could further undermine the scientific consensus on climate change, hindering efforts to implement effective policies. If people don't believe the science, they're less likely to support the solutions. So, what can we do about all of this? It's a complex problem, but here are a few ideas. First, we need to develop better tools for detecting and combating AI-generated misinformation. This includes investing in AI-based detection tools and training people to recognize the signs of deception. We also need to promote media literacy and critical thinking skills. People need to be able to evaluate information critically and distinguish between fact and fiction. And we need to increase transparency and accountability in the use of AI. Companies and organizations should be required to disclose how they're using AI and be held accountable for any harm that it causes. Finally, we need to strengthen international cooperation on climate change. This is a global problem that requires a global solution. We need to work together to combat misinformation and promote sustainable development. So, there you have it. Generative AI is a powerful tool, but it can also be used for malicious purposes. We need to be aware of the risks and take steps to mitigate them. The future of our planet may depend on it. What do you think? Are you worried about the potential for AI to worsen the climate crisis? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on the latest technology and its impact on our world. Thanks for watching.